So the talk I did, well, I've actually made notes. Not actually made notes for my prayer. This is unusual for me. So I don't work very well with notes, I'll be honest. Now I've got used to it. And really my talk's going to be about spiritualism. And I think it's more about spiritualism, about what it is and what it doesn't do, and what it can do, and what people think it is. Because I think when I first came into it, I didn't have the slightest idea what it was. And I'm not that sure that it was obvious when you were in a spiritualist church. So I thought at first mediumship was one of the major parts of it. And of course, I think many people who come into centres come because they want a message from somebody. And it can be very easy to assume that spiritualism is all about mediums, and it's not, of course. It is about mediumship, but it's about the philosophy that binds that together, that surrounds the fact that we prove by mediumship that physical death isn't the end of the individual with their character and personality, that mediumship is the cornerstone of spiritualism, but it's not all of spiritualism, because spiritualism is about the philosophy. And that can be hard to do, because when we talk about philosophy, all we tend to talk about is 7 principles. And that of itself doesn't really sound like very much. I'm actually looking for mine. This is a terrible admission from the leader of a mission, that they can't always remember the 7 principles in the right order. But I think it's something that you remember when you have to say them. They are only really a guide to life. They're a philosophy. When I was introduced to the world of spiritualism, it was back in 1983 when I met Liz. There's a lot of stories about that. I'm not sure I really understood what spiritualism was all about for a number of years. My first introduction was going to Ilford Spiritualist Church with Liz, and then sitting in a circle with a long 50-minute silent meditation, which nearly drove me mad, where the medium afterwards, my first ever circle, said, "You're a medium, give me a message." And I said, "What? I don't even know what that is." And sitting in circles with Liz, going to the Sunday services, watching her work on platform, and being pitchforked to sit up on the platform with her because we were getting married. So I'd be staring out of this sea of faces, wondering how on earth Liz managed to do it. And being with Liz, I did get some idea of what spiritualism is. And I say sea of faces, but this was one of the popular mediums. And I think I went to one place, there were 75 people in the audience, big crowd. They were standing up down the sides of the church. And I was sitting there feeling intimidated, just sitting there looking at them, let alone doing anything else. But obviously over the years, I very early on I worked out the difference between, because I was with Liz, I worked out the difference between psychic and mediumship, and why psychic's about the energy of the person and reading that, and mediumship is about contacting the spirit. I got to play with spoon bending, courtesy of Anne Gaiman, and play with those things just to show people our innate abilities. But that's not what spiritualism is really about. So I had some innate things. I remember one of the classic moments that made me really start to work on spiritualism. How many people remember Vera Hollands? Sharon might remember Vera Hollands. Did you ever see Vera Hollands yet? Vera's a very nice, actually Neil probably saw her work. Vera was a very nice lady, English trained, lived in Gawler, of all places, and then moved up to Brisbane, but she worked at the mission. And she really represented what used to happen in the 1980s, which you won't see now because it's kind of become banned. A medium would often give you a very, very good proof of survival message. And then they would turn around and say something from your guides. I'll give a good example of that. The first medium I ever saw at Ilford Spiritualist Church, 3 weeks after meeting Liz, gave me an absolutely beautiful message that proved the survival of one of my relatives who wasn't very close to my thoughts. So the information was completely what you would not expect to hear. And then she said, and Spirit is saying that you two should be getting married. No push after 2 weeks. And there's a child waiting to be born. Well, it's been born now, but that's not very pushy, is it? It's not the sort of thing you'd expect people to say on platform nowadays, but it was actually more common that a medium who'd actually proved they had communication with your loved ones would actually then go on and say something from your guides to you. And Vera, this day in about 2005, I think it must have been, I thought I was doing really well. I was running the open group at the mission. I've been running it for 4 years. I thought it was really going well. And Vera had finished her demonstration, done some proof of survival, and she walked back to me. I said, I've only got one thing to say to you. Your spirits are telling you better start learning about spiritualism. And I went, oh, okay. And I did. I spent, people know I both wrote for Psychic News after that day. And the thing about it is about how you live your life rather than anything else. It doesn't give you any, it doesn't give you anything that, you could say it doesn't tell you you're special. It doesn't tell you it's not magical. It's not mystical. It's not occult. It is just a natural part of our life. Some of the things we do, we haven't got scientific backing on, but it really is natural law and natural science at work that we just don't know or understand at the moment. And as such, spiritualism does not necessarily give you anything that people want, I might say. It's not going to tell you how to live your life on a daily basis. It's not going to make your life better mystically. That is all part of what you need to do, and it comes through the idea of your personal responsibility of growth and learning. And your problems may be helped by people who you meet along your way who can actually give you some help. It really isn't, it is about a standard to live by rather than expecting that to actually help you with the problems you meet in life, which might be difficult. It's a guide through our physical life. As we know, we can aspire or we can want to do things as we're younger, and then things happen and everything goes pear-shaped on us and we go sideways. And we don't achieve what we originally set out to do, but we can actually work to get over the problems we face. And we can get other people to help us, and sometimes the people in spirit will actually tell us, give us advice, which we can or cannot take, and they'll be there for us. It doesn't provide us. I do get asked sometimes by people, I've got these terrible problems, can spirit tell me how I'm going to fix them? No, spirit won't tell you how to fix your problems. You've really got to go back to basics and look at what the problems are and try and sort them. But the very knowledge that your loved ones are there can give you more strength in dealing with that problem. The realization that spiritualism doesn't expect you to be perfect every day, every minute of the day. It doesn't expect you to do any other thing than to live a physical life as well as you can. And I actually find that quite a good thought, that I'm not being told I have to be perfect. I don't have to be, I think some people, I don't have to be a vegetarian if I don't want to be. I don't have to be a teetotaler. I can actually smoke. Years ago, the back of a church hall, of a spiritualist church, would have the mediums outside smoking desperately before they went on to work. You might find that funny, but it was quite a routine. As soon as they finished, they'd be out the back, nervously puffing on their cigarette when they could. I probably think in the medium's room in English churches, you were probably allowed to smoke in those days. I'm not sure. So it doesn't ask anything of you. It doesn't say you have to do things, but it does give us a guide of how to live our life. And I think that's the way I've reached with mine. I don't expect it to It's like I no longer expect God to come in and rescue us in the COVID virus. I know he's not going to. It's going to be us working with it. And you could say this is a classic moment. We've all made plans for what we were going to do this year, didn't we? We were all going to do things. We were meant to have had 2 workshops. No, we'd have had another workshop coming up. We were meant to have lots of things going on, and then they're not. You're going to plan what you like, and you can't, when things strike, you can't change what is actually happening around you. And all you can do is find some way within you to deal with the situation and then come out of it and find a way forward again. So that's where I think I find myself with spiritualism. And I'll stop there. So it's enough of me talking anyway.